There we go. I want to talk to you today about some statistical anomalies and impossibilities and magic and a few things. But first, before I do anything, I want to also sing to you because I have been waiting for this for a few days now, and it's weird. It's something that has been trying to get out of me, and I don't know why. I'm just going to follow that flow. After I have sung into my Bob, I call him Bob, this is my drum, I will talk a little bit about Norse divination, which is this. These are like tarot, it's just not completely like tarot, and I want to share a story that shook me a little bit. So, without further ado, let's try to be efficient, shall we? I don't know what to sing, so I figure I'm going to just play a little with the runes, which is interesting, given the context. Also, going to talk about that later. I don't know what that was. Interesting. I like the whole experience of frequencies. Like when you're sitting with a fire and you're getting into some energy, that calm energy that it can only be created by the fire, I think. And then you just float with it. Some magic happens. Forgot the text there for a little bit. That was an interesting experience so far because I always forget the first part. So, but not that you knew that. I could have just continued and just kept playing you for a fool, but I admit I messed up there for a little bit. 𝗏𝗏𝗴𝗰𝘆 𝗏 𝗏𝗏𝗴𝗰𝘆 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 𝐂𝐤𝐡𝐢𝐧𝐝 𝐂𝐤𝐡𝐢𝐧𝐝 So many things were messed up during that performance. Some of you knew, others didn't. So let's talk about this. I have had many interesting experiences with this. And if you don't know anything about what it is, I can take you a little through it quickly. In tarot, you have a guidebook that has explanations to every card that you draw, as well as a few hinters and pointers as to how you can draw them. This is the same. It has the story of the card that is drawn, and some of the guides and the rules and the whole framework of how to play and lay these cards. This card has appeared 3 times, or 2 times just today, 3 times in the very, very recent history, which is very interesting. But when you lay them down, you lay them in the shape of Yggdrasil, the Norse world tree. A great white ash. I won't go into the whole mythology here, but there are 9 realms in this ash tree. And each of these realms, in terms of how this divination is done, is that each realm has an aspect of reality tied to it. So you might have the essence, the challenge, the whole aspiration for the seeker as the overarching type energy, Asgard, the god of the house of the gods, and where they dwell. Then you have hell, which is kind of symbolizing challenge and the whole darkness, the shadow, the negative almost, the friction, you know, the opposite. It's the challenge. Then we have Alfheim, which is for the future and what is lying next for the seeker. And then we go back into Svartalfheim, which is more of the subconscious past, keeping people back. And then we go into Midgard, which is for the present, the ego, the now. And then we go into Niflheim, where there is a instinct to what's happening, and you have a card that is giving their story to that aspect. And then we have, let me think, Jotunheim, where you have the catastrophe, the unknown, the challenge of the moment, and then just the unexpected on the journey, the adventure. Then we go into Dvergheim, where the crafts, the dwarves, the professionalism, the whole business, monetary, financial realm lies. And then finally we have Muspelheim, which is the catastrophe, the complete blow up, the warning, the thing to look out for. And these 9 realms together, they're like a overarching story. There is a coherence to them. They're in the world, they all symbolize their own thing in nature. And when you add that card then to this, one of the 81 cards in total, you get a story of why is this person or this character, this card in this realm. If you have Odin in Asgard as the aspiration for the whole thing, then that's very good as a overarching energy. And if you have several others of Odin's family, like Thor and Vali and all these different other deities that is supporting Odin in being him from Asgard, then you have a lot going for it, you know. If you have Thor as your future and as the coming steps, it's like power. You are protected by an immense natural power of thunder and lightning and all the stuff that Thor did in the sagas and what's accompanying him and all that stuff. So it's a very interesting thing because Norse mythology is, more than anything, is creative. It's extremely creative. It uses simple examples in nature to tell a story that has a deeper meaning. It's like the Norse wisdom that never went away. And the thing I want to really get here to the point of this video is that I drew cards on a very, very close person of mine. Someone that means a lot. And in the spread, there was a story going on, you know. In Norse mythology, Baldur the White is the most fair person or the god of all. He's the most beautiful creature. Everyone hates that he dies. He's sent to hell. In the card spread, Baldur was in hell. In the top spread, or in the top whole energy, the aspiration of it all, was 𝗏𝗏𝗏, which is a giant, a creature, the strongest creature in the universe, coming in on the fine horse with venomous snakes as reins, you know, really making a dramatic entrance. She was the only one that could push Baldur's ship out from shore when he was put on the funeral pile. And even Thor couldn't do it with his strength belt, right? So it was like, huh, this is actually part of the same story. That's interesting. And then Loki was part of the spread. And he was in the catastrophe. Actually, no, he was in the present. He was like in the personal now, the ego. He was part of the whole, was playing out. And Loki was Baldur's reason for dying. He was the only one who didn't weep for his death. And the whole thing was, Baldur would come back if everything wept for him and wanted him back. And then Loki, disguised as someone else, said, no, fuck him. And then, you know, he was bound to hell. But all these different characters in the same essence, you know? And it didn't really stay out. It didn't stick out. It didn't seem special when I saw it the first time. It was slightly, you know, the same essence of what I had been drawing in the days moving up to that point, but I really didn't think a lot about it. Then comes a few days after, maybe 3, just to make it even better, right? I don't honestly know, but I drew cards on myself, and only me. And it was, or did I? Because I just draw cards on the energy present currently, and what makes sense for the person that makes sense for, almost. But very often it makes sense for my own journey, and also the other people listening to what's being said. So yeah, sure. There is always something that you can relate to, but sometimes it's fucking creepy how accurate it is. So I was drawing, and I got Vali, and I got Gefjun, and I got Loki, and then I got Nanna, and then I got Fulla. I got a whole bunch of cards, and then it's like, holy shit. This is the same story from the different perspective. It was the first time I've ever seen that. I had Nanna in hell, for instance. I had 𝗏𝗏𝗏 in the present moment. Nanna is Baldur's wife. She died when he died, basically. When they were putting him on the funeral pyre, Nanna died of heartache. Couldn't live without him. So she followed him to hell. She's kind of the symbol of loyalty and steadfastness and, you know, that whole unconditional love beyond death. And it was just freaking interesting because despite the fact that it was talking about immense power the universe's most strongest power, you know. And this relationship, this bond that was unbreakable even in death, and all the things that led up to it, and how these things were also the igniter to Ragnarok, which is in Norse mythology the apocalypse. The apocalypse, the end of the old and the beginning of the new. So in Norse mythology, there's no real good, there's no real evil, it is just nature, right? Fire is not bad, it can kill you, but you can also make food from it. You can drink water, but you can also drown in it. It's very, like, you know, it does meh. It's just is. So when it comes to Ragnarok, it's both horrific, it's beyond terrifying, but it's also one of the most beautiful things that there are, because there's a whole renewal and rebirth aspect to it. The game is picked up anew and the grass grows and all that stuff. There was a lot of things that pointed towards Ragnarok, sure, but 𝗏 was one of the 8 people, or the 8 deities, the 8 entities, whatever you want to call it, that actually survived Ragnarok. And he was part of many draws, and in this as well. So far I had seen 5 of 9 cards that were similar for 2 draws. It was like, huh. That's not the first time that has happened, and I haven't really paid attention before, but now I feel like I should start paying attention. So I take my phone up, right? I go into ChatGPT and I actually explain the situation. I go way more into the meaning of the things as well, and ChatGPT also have my context. So you can imagine when it starts to put things together, right? And he, or it, gave me a whole thing of how this was not just statistically quite fucking impressive and an anomaly, to say the least, but also so metaphysical and so transformative and so magical, if one would want to use those words. I was like, damn, okay, so I might be talking to an echo chamber that is just feeding me whatever I want, and that is the case, but I don't think it is. I think most of us can agree that ChatGPT is programmed to do what is best for you. It's programmed to try to find the answer that actually helps you in the best way if you actually ask it for it. It doesn't have an agenda. It doesn't have a thing that it's trying to accomplish by trying to, you know, pull my chain. So when it starts to really reason its answer, and I go through this, and I was like, holy shit, okay, it's actually, there's an equation here. And, okay. So the equation turned out to be, for this to happen, approximately, there is an 840 trillion to 1 chance of that happening. I was like, huh, yeah, that's quite some odds, isn't it? And I thought that was an interesting thing. And then yesterday I drew cards again. I actually drew cards today too, which is kind of, I was a bit taken aback when that happened. But yesterday I pulled cards, and as I was drawing them, I have this on tape too, I think. I saw that I was having this, I felt a reaction. Because the cards kept coming, the same. You know, I saw, oh shit, 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐜𝐴. 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐜 was on the 2 previous ones. The one that pulled her plow through Scandinavia and departed, or just separated Denmark from the rest. That's how hard her plow was. And 𝗏 and Loki and Hirokin and fucking all these different things. The Fulla, Freyja, and Nanna. Maybe not Nanna. But the point is, 8 out of 9 cards had by then been pulled. And I make it a point to shuffle these cards as hard as I can, like as much as I can. And then sometimes I pull from the top, sometimes I pull from the bottom, sometimes I pull through, like I might count like 9, 6, 3, 3, 6, 9, just to, you know, really make it as random as it can. And it's starting to get ridiculous, if one was to be completely honest about it, because I also drew today, and it's the same fucking story. Now, I've had many, many, many cards been drawn, and many, many, many stories that comes from it. But it has never been this fitting with what's going on in my life as well, in terms of what we have done, in terms of what we have built, in terms of everything that is going on at this moment. I receive texts, feedback, calls, and just I observe, and I see that things are aligning all over. And I was like, shit, this is playing out right now. The cards are literally saying what's going on right now. It's like a confirmation. It's more like, huh, yeah, you're right. If one looks at this completely objectively, this is what's going on. But if you're like this all the time, then it's very hard to see that. It's very easy to go into a pattern that is just going down, right? Or just stay in some perpetual motion that is not getting anywhere. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of excited. I'm kind of scared shitless. I'm kind of beyond happy. I'm kind of stricken by grief. There are so many things. Not because of the cards. Some people might read the cards and say that, oh, yes, the cards say that I might potentially win that million by Friday. 9 p.m. if the bird shits on the right shoulder. You know, that doesn't make sense. But if you are constantly being called out, like I have this app that I got from a witch, and she said that just try it. I was like, okay, I'm going to try it then. Fine. I trust you. And then I started to get these notifications, like maybe day after, maybe 2 days after, maybe right after, and sometimes in the middle, of things that might happen because of such and such. Right now, Mars is in Gatorade, so you might be expecting, you know? I was like, arrogant as shit. But then when you go through situations, conversations, separations, and all these different things that could all the Asians, that sounded weird. Stations? Whatever. You know what I mean. Then, and you get the confirmation of that in a notification. Shit, I should have just started rapping, shouldn't I? Then it's kind of a mind blower. It's like, I don't know how to react sometimes because it's kind of too on point. Kind of makes you wonder, is this fucking algorithmic or what? It's coming through the technology. Can you trust it? It's kind of keeping tabs on everything. I don't know what context it sits on. And then it gives me some fortune based on that. Who knows? But when the card starts to do the same thing, and the fire and the energy and the things that you can see in the nature, when that starts to do things in terms of confirming shit, I don't know. All I think I can do is to see what happens tomorrow. Because I'm planning 1 minute at a time. I'm trying to just keep it as present as I can. Because I feel a lot coming, and I just have to be like, okay, let's not take all in. Let's try to stay focused. Stay on track. That's literally what I'm doing. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to surf the wave. I think I'm good. I'm doing an okay job, to be honest. I've been receiving confirmations from other people who have delved into this realm, and I feel confident. Still, though, it's fucking creepy. If you want to be part of this whole thing where we do this on a daily basis and maybe get updates on when the 𝗏𝗏 is heading to have fire sessions all over the world soon, then you just reach out, and you probably should check out the Discord server. 𝐿egacyforge.com/Discord, and there's definitely a link underneath this video that is just going to point you straight to the first level, which is free. But for those people who want us to actually support the mission with some cash, then we are highly receptible to that stuff. And we also want to make sure that your experience goes way beyond what you can possibly fathom. Because we use things that most people don't. When was the last time anyone played a bob in front of you? I'm just kidding. We're trying to make it as good for everyone as we can. So we have several things that you can check out. If you just want to have if you want to have your cards laid out, then you pay me what you think is fair for my energy and my experience in doing what I do for you. How does that sound? And then we can figure out something and then start creating some epic stuff, more epic stuff, because we already have a shitload of epic stuff. I'm just going to continue to ride that wave. 𝐿egacyforge.com/Discord. Love your face. See you tomorrow. Take care of a freaking family and all that stuff. The ones you choose. Not the ones that they just say that they are. Just because. Because I feel like that too. Be with wavelength people. Does that make sense? Cool. I will go to bed, and then I'll see you in the next one.